Welcome back to Brands in Play, the podcast exploring immersive marketing and the people who are leading it. I'm Nick Hill from Sawhorse.
And I'm Brandon, Senior Manager of Community and Social Strategy here at Sawhorse. And this week, we're taking a short break from our regular programming. So instead of our usual news roundup, we're excited to bring you a special rebroadcast from our friends at This Could Work podcast.
That's right. It's hosted by Will Trowbridge, who's been on the show before as a guest. His podcast, This Could Work, is awesome. It's all about exploring creative risk-taking and how people are shaping the future of brands. And in this episode, Will sits down with Monica Austin, who is SVP and CMO at Blizzard Entertainment. And they have a pretty awesome conversation spanning her career from Fox, Facebook, Netflix, and now working at one of gaming's most iconic publishers.
The discussion covers everything from building entertainment franchises to leading global marketing teams to why gaming communities have become one of the most powerful forces in modern culture. So it's a conversation we think every brand marketer should hear.
That's right. Enjoy the episode. We're going to be back next week with Brands in Play. Until then, enjoy This Could Work.
Run it up. You want to be where like the fandom is, right? That advocacy and that power. And thinking now where game is the new comic book with Fallout and Mario Brothers and, name the big new franchise that's coming from gaming in a way that like the Marvel universe and obviously beyond were framed by comic books.
We're back with another episode of This Could Work, the podcast where we celebrate creative risk-taking and those shaping the future of brands. I'm your host, Will Trowbridge, founder of the creative agency Sailor. Today on the podcast, we have the one and only Monica Austin. Monica was my boss at Netflix and has since led marketing at major organizations including Linktree, Calm, and most recently Blizzard, where she currently serves as Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer, leading global marketing strategy for some of the industry's most iconic gaming franchises, including World of Warcraft, Diablo, and Overwatch. Welcome, Monica. We're so happy to have you here. Thanks for joining.
I am so happy to be here. Yeah, it's so nice to see you.
Tell me, what length of bike ride did you go on this weekend?
I am a definite, as they say, an age grouper. In my midlife, now trying to, kind of come back to competitive athletics. What did I do this weekend? I did about 50 miles, 55 miles of bike and about maybe
That's amazing.
miles of running. And then I got to get back in the pool. That's my mental block because it's my least favorite and it's also least good at. So it's the thing that I'll gain the most from when I get back in the pool the most, but it's like the hardest to commit to.
You have an Ironman coming up, right?
Yeah, I have they have a couple distances and I have a half distance one coming up in June.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But before all that, tell us kind of where did you start? Maybe take us back to Fox land in 2012 or 2013. When was it? And take us from there up to today. We want, obviously this whole podcast is about creative risk taking, and it feels like your career journey and your story is so emblematic of that. I would love for you to walk us through at a high level, kind of your story from Fox to Blizzard and everything in between.
My favorite book growing up was Curious George. It's like,
oh my God, I'm reading a lot of those.
Right? Because I'm just always like, why? Explain, like, what does that do? And I think my career has followed that, just a lot of curiosity, a lot of interest. And that's also why I became a marketer too. It's like, I'm really curious about people and about behavior and about culture. And so I think my career is kind of, if there's any cross section, that's really where it is. No matter the company, let's say, or even the industry. But for a long time, I wanted to be in entertainment. I started in the mailroom at UTA, which was great. It was like full on boot camp for entertainment. And this was like the
Classic.
early 2000s. Yeah, which was a really formative time. And I really got excited about what I think was happening in TV at the time, which was very much leaning into international distribution and formats. And that's how I ended up at a company that was owned by Fox. You know, it was an interesting time. We were producing big shows like The Office, Ugly Betty, The Tudors, Biggest Loser, MasterChef. And definitely at the forefront of what was happening with big formats, you know, globally. And yeah, we were part of Liz Murdoch owned the company, and we were part of the Fox ecosystem. And at that point, I think it was like an SVP, and I had like a corner office
Hell
at a
yeah.
car.
Oh my
And,
god.
you
UTA. Wait a second. UTA mailroom to SVP? Let's go.
there was a jump between there, but there was ITV Street and then Fox. There's like it was many years of like some the hard
Slugging
but
out, yeah, of course.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I knew something was changing when it went from we're really focused on how we're distributing through networks globally, ITV and broadcasters, whatever's in the U.S. Obviously, the big networks, NBC, Fox, CBS, ABC, to starting to talk about things like Hulu and Netflix was just starting to sort of come onto the horizon.
Right.
But no one was taking it seriously. This was 2012, something like that, 2013. And we started to talk a lot more about also like the social media platforms, you know, how
Right.
people were consuming our content, talking about our content. But we're still like really head down on like what are the ratings, right? Like that's how you lived and died at the time for a show. And so I think it was like 6 years in or something like that, and not out of nowhere, but Facebook approached me, and this must have been 2013, 2014, something like that. 13. And they were not even in the entertainment game. Like at the time, Twitter was like part of the conversation. Twitter was out there really talking about how they wanted public figures and they wanted shows on their platform, and people were talking about it and discovering. And it was definitely where there was like that water cooler conversation. Facebook wasn't really in that situation yet, but they were building towards it. And so what got me excited is they approached me to build out and help them build out essentially it was like a partnerships role. So like my role was where they were pitching was go build the relationships outside of our sales team with all of the studios, all of the networks, all the talent, and start to make Facebook at the time and then eventually Instagram, you know, like just part of that conversation, part of that dialogue. When you're thinking about ways you're going to build on social, they needed Facebook to be part of that conversation. And so I got this offer and I had a contract at the time. You had contracts when you were at the studio. And people were like, what do you mean you're going to Facebook? Like it was like at this time.
Different. Oh my god.
You're like leaving your like contract and SVP title. You're like literally your car like and gonna go be what? Like a partnership manager, I think the title was. Like it was something, you know, super obscure. And it also had like a little product marketing function as well. And I was like, yeah. Like I looked up
those worlds like never there was like oil and water, like those worlds just didn't connect. I mean, like you said, Netflix, which obviously has kind of its roots in technology but also as an entertainment brand, was like, oh yeah, they'll probably be here for a moment, a blip on the radar. But like entertainment, you're either in or you're out, you're not crossing over. There's no such thing as like having a little trial career somewhere else and coming back in. No, if you leave, you're not coming back. You're not welcome here. So I can imagine just the bravery and also just you're kind of betting on this technology and this social kind of platform that ultimately was unproven in a way, given, of course, the state of Fox and the establishment that they had created.
Yeah, they were. Everything was closed door. Even with YouTube, it was very much to your point. Like, nope, we own distribution.
Right.
We own marketing. We own, you know, the way that we communicate with consumers. But that was all changing.
Yeah.
And what I definitely felt at that time was, because of Netflix, because of these social platforms, even Google, right, becoming more of a player. YouTube, it was like Silicon Valley. It's a different language But I really felt, and I still believe today, and even stronger, is like the winners of the future needed to speak that language. Like that was abundantly clear, right?
Yeah.
Is because distribution was changing, the way people were consuming, the way they were finding out about what to watch, and the way they were talking about it was just like the leading indicator. That was just the tip of the spear. So, yeah, took this bleep. It was definitely, not without. It's like, what are you thinking? I was like in my early 30s, something like that. And if there's ever a time to make like a leap into this other space, into Silicon Valley, like it's now.
Yeah.
And so I jumped over to Facebook on my crash course in tech, and it was such a different world. And I would say that was probably the biggest shift was entertainment culture, as everyone knows and has had his like, and I experienced it all, especially working at the mailroom, to then tech culture, which was centered on like how you work together as a team or how the organization works, how you operate as a big, um, massive platform.
Right.
And the way you made decisions associated with that. And like also that everybody there was like flat. It was a super flat culture, right? Like Hollywood built on hierarchy.
Totally.
This was like, nope, there are like 3 layers between you and Mark Zuckerberg, right? Or even 2 layers actually. And that was fascinating. That got me really like excited as well because it was such new learning. And I was like, oh, lots of ahas of like, you don't actually have to treat people the way that we were treating people in entertainment to like get great output. And there was a lot more autonomy. You had a lot more ability to make decisions. Speed was optimized for, and then of course just learning the way to make a product, right? How do you engineer and code, and like how do you get a new feature out the door? Was analogous to how I was learning how to make a show. When I first got in the industry.
Totally. I mean, just getting back to the entertainment of it all, like entertainment, it feels sometimes like you're measured by the rooms that you're in and the doors you can get through, and you have to fight tooth and nail to climb that ladder, right? And it's like you're not in that room until you've earned it, versus feels like what you're getting at with tech, and maybe this a little bit speaks to our Netflix experience and hopefully Blizzard as well, is just it's a more performance-based culture. Like everyone can shine if you perform and you ultimately put the business on your back and run as fast as you can. You're going to show up and you're going to break through barriers, not just because you've been there the longest, but because you're working incredibly hard and driving incredible value for the company.
But the background from my time at Facebook was actually working on Instagram. If you can imagine, there was a time when we were like, we were trying to get, celebrities.
Convince people.
Right. Just like, it was like so wild.
I have to tell you, when I think of my first memory of Instagram, I remember reading something in like The Verge or one of those early kind of like tech publishers where it was talking about this new app that was being used by real estate agents. You could use filters on the photos from your phone and it made the house look better. And that is how I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. And then it was like, and it sold for $1 billion. I was like, what? Like that, I imagine you from that moment of the real estate filter app to then convincing celebrities to take a bet on this thing, to integrating it onto the Facebook ecosystem. No small feat.
No, and doing like these first of its kind deals.
Yeah.
Partnerships with, I got to work at, we did this huge partnerships with the Oscars, Vanity Fair, and just real ways we could demonstrate the power of the visual platform, the scalability that it had. I was there when we rolled out video and we rolled out like stories, which was like
so cool.
Such a moment, Snapchat was eating our lunch and more ephemeral storytelling. And what I just loved about the thing at the time was like, it's not who does it first, it's who does it better. And it's also like following consumer behavior and not being afraid to go do it. And it was like, really, really defining.
What a time to join Facebook. Right when they bought Instagram, you were right there during your three-year window. That's amazing.
And we were and
and WhatsApp too. Oh my god.
VR and Oculus trying to get like
Those were their biggest, it feels like, bets that I mean, apart from AI, of course, that have like paid off in dividends for them. Some of the others are out, like you've heard kind of like rises and falls and conversation around and investment and stuff like that. But man, WhatsApp, Instagram, you were there when all that was coming to be. So cool.
we had a ton to worry. There was endless. That's what I said. I was planning to be there forever. I was like so happy. I love the culture, I love building great product, but also like building more trust with their consumers at the end of the day. And so they even had, there was a metric I remember, again, just like so many things I learned at that time. They had a metric that they prioritized called was it basically like do no harm. It was like, yeah, we know move fast and great things work for a while, but if we're breaking too much stuff, right now you have to think about how we're creating net positive sentiment, and the whole company has to get behind that. And the fact they were able to metric that, productize that, I was like, man, that is fascinating, right?
That is fascinating, especially as a marketer. It's like literally make only positive noise or no noise. We're fine with no noise too. Like just get this thing out there and let's just wait back and watch.
So one of our partners that I was responsible for was Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
They were notoriously difficult to work with, as if you can imagine. 2015 era Netflix, full on, like just started their kind of original content, roadmap. They had House of Cards and a few other things worse than Black. As you're trying to build partnerships and deeper relationships and trying to sort of like figure out ways to amplify some of the things they were already doing on social. And I was a byproduct, I think, of my own success in opening the doors at Netflix. And then our good friend, Eric Collada, called me out of the blue and was like, hey, I'm looking for someone to help me scale, what we're doing across social and global. And I remember being like, absolutely not. Like, A, had a notoriously difficult culture and difficult working. And I knew a little bit, having worked across the table in different capacities. But, he was smart and he said, come in and meet a few people. And I said, okay, just out of the partnership side, right? How do I retain this relationship?
Right. If I don't, will this guy cancel?
So I got in, I started meeting with a few folks. And what I kind of just realized was they gave incredible talent a ton of autonomy. And they had a really clear vision of what they were trying to do and how they were also like leveraging the product and tech. And what the opportunity was, what I felt like is, oh, this is a rocket ship. Like, it's get on now. Figure it out. Mm-hmm. And then on the other side, they were very smart about the way they managed compensation. And Facebook did they don't do like a competitive, like, we're going to counter.
Right.
And there were multitudes of reasons, but not even just, obviously compensation aside, I was like, this is just going to be pass or fail, because it was very much clear, like, Netflix is a sink or swim culture. Yeah. So I knew it was going to be like, you either get in and are successful or not. But I felt like it was the right risk to take, even though I'd only been in tech for now, like, going on like 3 years or something like that.
So then you went to Netflix with Eric, and what year was that? Do you remember? Like 2018? 2016? Okay. 2016. And obviously some of the most formative, famous titles, the House of Cards and Orange the New Black, are coming to light, but it's just a few, right? Like, and of course their ambition was massive. So what was your job early on, and kind of like over the course of your tenure there, how did that job change and how did your scope grow?
Yeah, I started as the director of original series social marketing. I think that was the title. Still thinking that realm. So there was the brand team. Yeah. And then there was the team that was developing title level strategy.
Right.
I can't remember the exact number, but when I started, it was like, I don't know, it was like Orange and House of Cards and a handful of other series.
That's like a average week for them right now.
A day, maybe. Like at some point. between like docs and comedy and everything. In film, it was just like the crazy bottom. I think my final slate, I had like 200 titles a year or something insane, right? Um, but yeah, we were in hiring mode. It was like we have to scale. This is we can only take on so much. We've got to kind of scale this whole organization. So I think at one point I heard like 40 people in a year, like something obscene, or held my organization to hire that much, to get ready for the volume of things across not just series, which they were known and had started for, but all the docs, all the film. And we hadn't even scratched the surface yet on some of the global work that was happening, and starting to be thought about in region. Um, so yeah, it was wild times. I was there. Oh, Stranger Things had already launched because we were gearing up for like the second round of Stranger. And I think the other thing that was so fascinating about what Netflix and the power of that product and the way that they were able to algorithmically connect to people's interests is as we even know today, like with the success of K-pop Demon Hunters, it has nothing to do often with what the marketing team thinks is going to work or what's a priority from the film team. There were plenty of things that we put a lot of effort into that hit the surface and fell flat because they just didn't connect. And so that became more so apparent the bigger the slate got, was like, we are going to be able to account for so much, and we can figure out, what's a priority for the business and how we want to support those things and how we support talent, so that we are a really great place for them to make content, and distribute it and market it. But that you have to leave this huge amount of space for just pure reactive,
It's
right?
such an incredible asset. Like, can you imagine
Product,
creating this product that ultimately is just like following word of mouth, word of mind, word of like, I don't know. I would always just blew my mind where it was like you had all of your attention as a marketer on one thing, and then out of the like corner of your eye, you'd start seeing kind of like just audiences start to grow and conversations start to grow and the products start to move things accordingly. And suddenly this thing that no one expected, to your point, is the biggest conversation in entertainment. And that's something that to this day I think about often. And now I think really has affected, especially entertainment marketing agencies and teams.
The only constant, at Netflix is change. And I think that was like very representative of my time there, especially when we're growing and scaling. We're still in high growth mode, right, on the product level and in the marketing organization. And that shifted, of course.
I feel like we need to jump to your next role because we're only up to what, like 2021-ish, 20-ish?
I left, had a baby, COVID happened.
Yep.
Lots of changes. By the time I was ready to come back, was like that they had really wanted different things out of marketing rooms. Great. Time. I had a great run. I was 6 years old. I was like, this is great. I'm so happy. So 2021, I was about to go to Amazon.
Yep.
They were trying to do the studio side, what Netflix was working on when I first joined there. So there was an element of it that I really understood, could jump back into. But Calm approached me at the same time. Literally, like, I think I had the offer in hand. And I was like, about sound with Amazon. Two things happened. One, it was COVID and lockdown, and mental health was a huge conversation. And I also went through like my own like postpartum, and had one of my first real, I would say, battles, not like the right word, but like my own experience challenges. And so when the idea of working in mental health just like sparked something.
Oh my God.
Yeah, had a big learning curve on a couple fronts. A huge part of it was obviously like meditation, mindfulness, and then and mental health, which is like new, but it was like topical to your point. And as someone who worked in social my whole career for before that, including at a social platform, I was like, oh, this is huge, right? This is a moment that everybody is sort of universal. And so I jumped over. But the one thing that gave me like the connective tissue beyond just the curiosity was they had been scaling through, I would say, like entertainment in entertainment ways. They had done these like talent partnerships. They'd worked with like Matthew McConaughey and Harry Styles.
Those are
They
good night stories or whatever they
the
call
sleep
it.
stories.
Sleep stories.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was like a little entertainment playbook that they were applying and working with talent. I think that I was like, okay, this is a space I feel comfortable in, so I can sort of
Totally.
jump in while we navigate the other pieces. But the startup nature. So I went from an organization at the time. I think Netflix was like I don't know 5,000 people, maybe
Yeah.
verging on 10 with
Right.
directors and global to like 500. But we jumped in, and the founders had a really strong vision for what the brand could be and the opportunity. And so I got to help guide them through some really fun moments. One was the election, where there was like a moment where we like jumped in with like a 30-second do nothing ad and like a universal time of stress. And it was like a real groundbreaking moment.
It's just moments of that.
Well, everyone wanted
Yeah.
it was like pause at your feet, right? Our
I
best
know.
performing like performance ad, which they also did really well there,
So
was
smart.
just the 30 seconds of calm. You
Yeah.
know, it was like total juxtaposition. I was like, oh, we can really that's a space. Like
Yep.
owning the thumb stop in the way that provides stress relief or a moment of mindfulness. Like, don't we all need that? You know?
Totally.
And then obviously sleep became a huge part of their platform as well. Had this moment that was really like so simple where the like just a proof of the way you as a brand can react can be so meaningful to the conversation. It was basically I don't know if you remember Naomi Osaka. She bowed out of I think it was just like the media component of the French Open. It was like, I'm not gonna do that interviews because like they stress me out. Like it really
Totally.
impacts my health. And instead of being like, we hear you, like we'll work with you as like, a player, a human, they fined her. They gave her a fine. Well, if you don't do the media, then you get fined. And it was like the internet was outraged and I was outraged. And I was like, that is insane, right? And we're also talking about it as calm. And I remember I sent it to my team and I said, we have to respond, right? We just have to respond in some way.
Okay.
And we huddled together really quickly. We're throwing out ideas and I threw out a bad idea and someone else threw out a bad idea. And someone goes, well, like, should we just like pay her fine? And I went, yes,
So
like
good.
that's exactly what we should do, which just we will pay her fine. It was like, I don't know, 50K or something like that.
Yeah.
It was just the gesture. And we went
Totally.
out with it and we and it had this huge like for the Berkshire for calm. It was like this big moment of like stepping into this major conversation. That kind of helped pull together the narrative that the founders were looking for, which is like the Nike of mental health. But it was again just we showed up and then we became like every time there was like an athlete conversation or a mental health conversation, we get inbound and like, what do you do?
Totally. What do you do? Right.
What do you do?
Which is, I mean, a pretty amazing place to be. You want to be the one that everyone comes to and is like, stand up for us. Because that means that you're living your true values as a brand, which is an incredible thing.
Yeah. And so it was so fun. And then, they Brave leads startup, we had basically unlocked all we could for the first kind of tech wave that we could get consumers to adopt Calm, the first product market fit, if you will.
Right.
And we knew to get to the next wave, wow, we're really gonna have to invest. And that sort of drove a conversation around like this pivot to healthcare. And I was like, cool, like, let me see. I took like one call with like, I don't know, some big insurance provider. And I was like, no, I'm cool. I'm
Not even me.
Makes no sense how I then got back to working for Microsoft and Xbox, but here we are.
I know. Well, I feel like we have to touch upon that. So if I remember correctly, you took this CMO position at Blizzard, and you're not a huge gamer yourself, right? Or at least you weren't prior. And I feel like there is something to that with all of these. Is like, you're kind of a newcomer to the space, and everyone needs an outsider's brands need an outsider's perspective to help them kind of figure out maybe who they are in that moment.
I gamed like I still have formative memories of like Nintendo and Atari and Sega and love like first person shooters like Call of Duty is my favorite game. God of War actually and Uncharted. I was a console gamer, like big titles. I was like a blockbuster console gamer. That's how you should think of it. I was not what you would consider like our core Blizzard gamers are like, it's their lifestyle,
Totally.
right?
Right.
And I had never worked, to your point, like had never worked in gaming. So that part was 100% to the point where like they were reaching out to me and I was like, why are you calling me?
Right.
Like, I was like, I know a lot about gaming. I know, like it's not a walled garden. It's a protected garden. Like it is like they're wary of outsiders. And for a lot of reasons, like I get it. Cause it's not just entertainment value. It's like for the core,
Life.
very much like
Yeah. Right.
time I was living in Hawaii as well. So I knew it was gonna require a move.
You're
Was
working at
one.
home, living in Hawaii, living your goddamn best life. Daryl said, "Come back. We're going to Irvine. Come on, I'm home." Yeah.
Come home, come back. It was the power of the IP. I think what I am now, after all of these experiences working across from UTA to Fox ecosystem, Facebook and beyond, it's IP. Even at Netflix, when we struggled so much to think about franchise, and then what became the flywheel of growth, there's just more and more and more volume, 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 and that's really hard to sustain. And what kind of brings people back, retains them, were things like Stranger Things and Orange is the New Black, and like I want to come back to this world. And that's also where the fandom is. And when you're working in social too, it's like you want to be where like the fandom is, right? That advocacy and that power. And thinking now where game is the new comic book,
Right.
with Fallout and Mario Brothers, and name the big new franchise that's coming from from gaming, in a way that like the Marvel universe and obviously beyond were framed by comic books. But I at the end of the day, I was like, who am I working for? I have like 3 questions. Like, what am I working on? Who am I working with? Right. And I met with all of the game leadership, and they're incredible. A woman runs World of Warcraft, executive producer, and she's an icon. Like I am so down with your vision, and this IP, these games, and the community
Right.
that Blizzard have. You're primed to like deliver on it.
Totally.
So, I'm just lucky. Like I feel so grateful every day to do it and work on these games and work with these people, and even with these like communities of gamers that are tough, but like
Totally.
we deliver for them. Like we just got through this big, massive undertaking over the last several weeks where we delivered these like big updates and game launches. And like you give them what they want and like give them great stuff. They just like
No,
in full.
It's been amazing watching the community just celebrate this new work. So big kudos to you. And you've got an incredible team over there of friends and former colleagues, the likes of Kevin and Max and Nick and others that I know well. But it's been amazing watching what you guys have done over there. I feel like we could just spend hours talking about each one of these chapters, let alone the whole book.
Yeah, this like your new like host vibes where you really just pull it all out. I don't know. It's just
I got to try to get it all done in an hour here. That's what I got. But Monica, is there anything we, like I said, could go so much deeper on Blizzard, and maybe we should do a part 2 that's just all about Blizzard, because I personally am so curious, and I'm sure others want to hear more about it. But is there anything you want to call out or flag or shout out or kind of like speak to that's coming out soon, or just anything that we missed?
Oh, I mean, we're right in the middle of the launch of World of Warcraft Midnight.
Yeah.
And we're also experiencing this huge moment where one of our classic games called the Burning Crusade, Warcraft Classic, is like over delivering in every possible great way, because streamers are just having a blast playing the game. It's a fun time to get back into gaming. It's a fun time to, I think, also it's like escape. Like I think so much of what this space in particular, if I think about our role in this attention economy, where it's like social and it's streaming and it's news and it's clickbait and it's influence, it's like this is a place. Like this is
Totally.
a real place where you can connect with people that you love in a really safe environment. And so just like how great that is.
30 seconds of calm scaled. We all gaming is just hopefully for for everyone, they have different amount of time they can spend on games, but for so many, I think it is their time that they're spending away from the grind and from the
That's right.
craziness that's happening on social media around the world. And yeah, it's amazing just to watch what you guys are doing. So congratulations to you guys, and congratulations to you, Monica.
And
Thanks so much for joining, and let's stay in touch.
let's do it. Thank you, Will.
This Could Work is a production of Sailor Creative Agency and hosted by Will Trowbridge, the CEO and founder. The show is executive produced by Ray Vada and produced and edited by Corey Lubowich. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.